I tend to say the biggest currency that anyone as an immigrant or a student has is your network.
But I feel like abroad education is a very different, right? Because you can uplift your skill, you talk to different people. What advice you can give to the parents and students who are not thinking about abroad education?
Call someone that's 7 years in Canada, says you went to Canada 7 years ago. Are you happy? Will you do it again? You're a good talent. You can make as much as money in Canada. We pay our good talent incredibly well. Focus on your destination, but enjoy the journey. Don't be too obsessed with getting to your destination. And don't improve your network within your community. Go beyond of your community. So that's why networking sometimes goes far further to land a good job than actually just going and applying. 600,000 people will retire and 300 net new thousand we need. So Canada has almost a million vacancy in the next 8 years in our trade.
Hey guys, this is Darshan and welcome to Abroad Brand Guru. It's a fantastic podcast for each one of you. I am in Canada right now at 5 p.m. in evening, and I am sitting with a very dynamic and inspiration person, Meti Basiri. He's a co-founder of ApplyBoard and very good friend of mine. And today I'm going to ask him lots and lots of questions about abroad education, startup journey, and what we know all about, right? Canada, and also different countries are shutting their door, or lots of other countries are also opening the door for the abroad education. I'm going to ask him lots and lots of questions. So if you are parents, this is going to be a must watch video for you, because the person who came from Iran, migrated to Canada and running a billion-dollar company or a unicorn in Canada. If you are students, this is the must takeaway story. And if you are in startup, and if you think that if you want to scale up, then this is also for you, because we are covering all the aspect in this particular podcast. And I know Meti since long time, and I will tell his story a little bit later on. But let me introduce Meti. Thank you so much.
Good seeing you, buddy. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Yeah, just tell me about your story.
Also, you want to know the story now. So I came from Iran about 14 years back, 2011 almost actually. So I came as a student. The option was whether do we go to USA to continue our education, do we come to Canada? We of course chose Canada because my sister was coming here, my brother was here, so we kind of had like the family root here. And I think arguably that was one of the best decisions of my life. I think Canada is an incredible country. There's a lot to offer to people who want to work hard, and it's a land of opportunity. Um, and then since I came here to speak a word of English, went to study English, um, did the IELTS, which is the normal process that a lot of the students go. Well, coming from Iran, there is literally zero English. Like in Iran, it's no English.
It's no English,
So, and then after that, just studied business, and for a very short period of time, run a marketing company. And then me and my brothers decided that we want to start something and help thousands of other students to come to Canada and beyond.
That means you don't know how to speak English, how to write English when you came to Canada.
No, not that. Absolutely.
Wow. So what message you can give to those students who are thinking that I am struggling in English and I think I can't travel Canada or anywhere else for study?
I guess like it's all goes to the want, and as long as you want something so badly, what stops you? It's you. So I think like as soon as coming from let's say South Asia or particularly somewhere like India, you at least know the basics. So it's a lot easier to go from 3 to 10 than going from 0 to 3. So I guess like it's all depend on the students themselves. Like I tend to joke around since there's always this perception that when you migrate somewhere or you go as a student, someone is standing at the airport with a suitcase of money say welcome.
Welcome. Yes.
That's really not. It's
That's
just
really
all go back to the student's preparation and the student post arrival and how much do you spend time to like get prepared for it. So
Right. Okay. Can you tell me, like, when you came to Canada, like what kind of struggle you face, like what kind of odd job you have done, and uh, like as all international students are passing through the difficult time when they arrive in Canada, right? Like how they can motivate themselves. Maybe you've been through the tough time.
I guess everyone's been through the tough time. There is no single students that I go through that I have interacted with that they didn't have a different journey in a sense. Maybe some harder, some is less hard. Uh, I've done take it from pizza delivery.
Okay.
And that time, it actually funny things. In 2012, pizza delivery was a lot harder because there was not something called Uber
Well, yes.
or that. So you actually had to find a pizza place. And you would have like in at that time, like there was one pizza store and we were doing just delivery for that one pizza store. We would have sit there maybe a couple minutes or hour to just get a simple delivery. And then imagine in February when the weather was like so like first year in Canada, it's so cold. You're trying to make a lot of things like this. And we did that pizza delivery not necessarily just for the financial of it. It was just meant to be more interacting with people, not sitting home. So the financial of it was very small takeaways of it. But yeah, so I've done from pizza delivery. Of course, when you do delivery, they get you to wash dishes, everything in the back of the restaurant still. All the way running my own company with my brother and trying to see how we can help other startups and scale up. So yeah, it's take it from English. The struggle was their different education system.
Yes.
Um, I think it was all known. I don't think I had expected something different. When I left Iran, came here, I knew that I'm gonna deal with a lot of uncertain things and was just embracing it rather than complaining it, right? Like, who doesn't love to wake up their parents' home, get the food, this and that? But it just was embracing it and moving forward.
So, what message you can give to all international students who are studying in Canada or maybe in USA? Like, they are always complaining about we have to struggle a lot. I can say it's a hustle, it's not a struggle. What's your message to them? Because you've been through this journey, even I've been through this journey.
It actually, I don't think like I don't perceive life as something as a struggle. I think life, what brings the best joys out of life is the hard time. If you don't appreciate the hard time, you never appreciate the good times. Um, and I think we humans tend to have a perceptions of we appreciate what we don't have. We don't look for
Look
what
what
we have.
happened. Yes.
You're already in Canada. You're ahead of a lot of people. Ask yourself, what can I do to contribute to Canadian society, Canadian economy, or vice versa? What is your network? I tend to say the biggest uh, currency that anyone as an immigrant or a student has is your network. What is your network? Are you sitting home from 9 to 5? You do your education and that's about it, or no, you're out there getting that. Like, I have not seen a single successful person in my life that says I did 9 to 5.
Yeah, that's true.
They're all worked there
Yeah.
incredibly hard. They've gone beyond. And frankly, a lot of people think immigrating here 10 years ago was easy. I actually argue that it's not.
It's not. Yeah, that's true.
I think it's actually it's the challenges are different, messagings are different. But 10 years ago or 6 years ago, there were different way to get permanent residency or immigration processes or anything. You actually could argue today it's far more transparent. Like
Yes.
you don't if you don't consult any students, and I tell them every single information the students can get off of the internet.
Yes.
And tell me one student that has walked to your office that says I have no internet at home.
It's not possible.
So like frankly you're living in the world that you can know
Anything.
anything.
Yes. Yes.
So there is no excuse of I didn't know what if you didn't know that means you didn't prepare.
You didn't remember. Yeah. I think that's a very good piece of advice given by Meti. If you're an international student, just need to make sure that each and everyone is passing through the hard time, or you can say it's a struggle, but it's going to make you stronger. Okay, and we already have an amazing story from Meti that he struggled a lot. He delivered the visa, and now he is running a unicorn in Canada, right? So I think student, you don't have to disappoint. You need to keep a faith in yourself, and I feel like if you keep faith in yourself and if you get work on your skill, I think you will be in a good opportunity. culture. How did you find this problem? Like, how? What do you think? Like, why you want to solve this education problem for international students?
Um, so I'll give you a story, and not a lot of people actually have shared this story. So this is about 2010. We decided that we're gonna come to Canada. We start going and coming from the south of Iran, smaller city. We went through a lot of folks and asked, "Hey, we want to go to Canada." I never forget it because, and I could always say not because those counselors didn't have enough of information, just because it was very rare for undergraduate students to go to Canada from Iran, and especially from my city. So very much everyone said to me, don't go to Canada, go to Malaysia or Turkey at that time because it's easier to go there, finish your undergrad, and then go. And then I knew like we were going to be in a good university in Iran anyway, so we would have not just leave to Malaysia or Turkey. Nothing wrong with the education system there to just stay there a few years then. So this was always back of our mind that like because the information and the success stories were not there, we were kind of advised different path. And my life could have been incredibly different if I would have ended up going there, study my undergrad, and then maybe come for grad. It's a different journey altogether. So after we graduate from here, we're like, can we come up with a platform like Expedia that anyone from anywhere can go anywhere in the world? It's a very simple, and I think we have done a lot of progress, but I feel it's still we're millions of students away from where we wanted to be. So at the end of the day, I want any students wake up in the morning, whether they go through our partners like you, or they go to their high school international, or they just wake up. We make it so simple for them that they can go to Netherlands if they decide. If they want to go to Turkey or from elsewhere, come to India. Like India hosts tons of it. We want to just make it so simple that as fast as you book your air travel to come, let's say from Seattle to Toronto, we want to make it so simple that you can make the similar decision with that and take the stress away. It's a very stressful process. Can we at least remove as much as we can from that stressful journey and at least control what can't be controlled?
That's a great information and a great story. But how did you come to know about this abroad education? Like maybe in Iran, you got inspired from your friends, or maybe you inspired from your relatives. Because back in 2010, and talking about abroad education is a hell lot of money.
My dad went to a state 54 years ago.
Oh, okay, great.
So my dad has studied in USA. He finished his undergrad, came to Iran, and then he contributed to Iran for many years. So
Okay,
so like it was my uncle went to US with my dad and studied, and then he decided that he wanted to stay in US, and then he came from US to Toronto. So it was just like we saw the fact that a lot of people went there in the last 50 to 60 years. So it wasn't something that it was totally brand new. What we knew for you going abroad, what was very new, the fact that it was a self-fund. In Iran, very little number of students go abroad, which is mainly PhD and master. And that time, like I'm talking about 15 years ago. So whether you had a scholarship and you would have gone, or if you didn't have a scholarship, there was no concept of self-funding you. And at least because of where I came from, there was not easy way to get the loan because the challenges that Iran has, so you couldn't have access to any sort of loan. So
yeah, no, I think like your father being to state, I think that's one of the reasons that you know what is abroad education. But in India, lots of parents are always concerned about the abroad education. Like, can you give advice to parents like why they have to send their kids for abroad education? Because in India, people think that abroad education is just a settlement in the new country. But I feel like abroad education is a very different, right? Because you can uplift your skill, you talk to different people. Maybe you can have your good technical skill. Maybe you can build your good business. Like, what advice you can give to the parents and students who are not thinking about abroad education?
I don't think I'm in the position of telling your parents what to do, but I can certainly share that my life changed because of the journey that I took. And I've seen many other students that whether stayed in the country and they took a legal path to become a migrant, or whether they went back. Some of the best people that I know in India, as example, were international students. We have so many of our own employees that studied in UK or Canada. We have even our Nepalese staff that two of them came here studying and went. So I don't think I would per se tell a parents what to do because I'm sure they know better. But I can tell the parents that mass majority of the students that have gone there has been successful. And don't skip the first 6 years of anyone. I would never pick a call to someone say, "Hey, tell me you just came to Canada. What is your story?" Because you're talking to someone that is that they're at the bottom of their journey. Call someone that's 7 years in Canada, says you went to Canada 7 years ago. Are you happy? Will you do it again? Because a lot of time, like if you would have called me 2013, say, "Hey Meti, like, are you happy with your journey?" I was a lot unhappier that time than today, just because the challenges was very different, right? Like I was going to a bit. So I think we need to also balance it. It actually, fun fact, takes 6 years for any immigrant, not international student, immigrant, to maximize their output to the government.
Okay.
So, like to Canadian society, let's say, if you came here as an immigrant, it takes you 6 years to start producing very good to economy. That for international students is even might be even harder. So I think like that might be the mistake that I've seen. People tend to listen to people that they just got here last 2 years, 3 years, not 2016, 2017. Let it go. And the second thing is do a little research. Like as you said, I think if I'm a family member in India, as an example, and I have a business and I want my kid to run that business, what would be the best to send my kid to study a very good education and come back and have that knowledge to run the business? Or if I'm a family member and doesn't necessarily mean that you have a bit like anything, but you want that make that investment so when your kid comes, already have carrying education that it's differentiate him or her in the country, right? So I think there is a lot, and in India there is one big advantage, particularly in India that I've seen. You're a good talent, you can make as much as money in Canada. We pay our good talent incredibly well, and our non, I shouldn't say, let's call it A plus player and A plus. Like we have a significant, everyone at ApplyBoard are great, amazing folks. But when you look at it, there's so much opportunity in India to make a decent money with a lot less cost of living. So I think at the end of the day, as you said, it shouldn't be immigration, all it should be education. And if you choose the education, what destination institution, which one is better for you?
Okay, so I have a few questions regarding the startup, right? Like, what spiked you to start the startup?
What inspired me to start a startup?
Yes.
The two answer to that. One, I knew that we were very passionate to find a way to solve this problem. So I think like the biggest thing that led us to start the Apply board was like we want to solve this problem. There was nothing else. Like, until today, almost 9 years passed, I still want to solve the problem. That's the only thing that gets me to be here with you today. Be with other folks and travel and try to solve the problem. A second piece was just it was just the sense of like you want to do something bigger, and I don't think there's any. Not everyone needs to start a startup. Not everyone should consider it. It's really that. Yeah, so I think that the biggest reason was just we wanted to solve the problem. And I have five other ideas that I want to solve the problem, but until this problem is not solved, I don't think that I have the capacity to start another thing. It's just a problem.
So what, like in next couple of months, what problem you are going to solve for this industries?
I don't think necessarily next couple of months. It's that our sector and industry is very heavily uh, manual
It's
in
a
a lot
menu.
of senses,
Yes, that's
right?
true. Yeah.
So I think when I think a few years down the line, we're constantly thinking, what can we do to just remove the manual
Menu.
process? So I think that would be the biggest thing, and not necessarily in the short. And I strongly believe that ApplyBoard is the only company that has that uh, power and data and amazing engineers that can solve that problem. I have not seen anyone in that capacity and capability yet. So yeah, I think like that would be the next few months project that we're very passionate about.
All the best for that, and looking forward to see how it's going to uh, help recruitment partners, right?
100%.
100%. Okay, I would like to ask you one thing. I have seen one interview of Meti Basiri talking to, I think, CNN or something, someone like that. And CNN person mentioned like talking that you have an agent. Then Meti corrected. It's not an agent. It's a recruitment partner. I think you have given a fantastic word to this entire community because agent means lots of things, right? But recruitment partner will show the proud, we show that you are believing us, we show that you are so humble and kind and making sure that your recruitment partner is easy. So I think this is some quality you can say or skill you can say.
You know what was my biggest mistake?
Yeah.
Not trademark recruitment.
That's true. That's true. You need to. Yeah,
We
that's
should have trademarked that two word, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, because
But
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
the last 10 years, it changed.
It changed.
It's like 95% of people say it. I give you my rationale. There is nothing wrong with agency. There's nothing wrong with recruitment partner. It's really different wording. Mass majority of people that I have interacted, and including someone like you, based on my knowledge, you went to a problem, you wanted to solve it
Yes.
at a smaller, medium, bigger scale for other students. A lot of people that I have seen this sector didn't start at helping others because they thought they can make money. They start helping others because they wanted to help others,
Yes.
and then the money followed. And there is nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
And I think like when you really think about it, we're not just there to make the deal happen. We're there to make sure that the students become successful. The student gets their mass majority of this sector is based on word of mouth. You don't have to do any advertisement if you start first intake with 10 good students and then 10 becomes 20, 20 becomes 40. And I think that's really much the key and the success of a lot of recruitment partner. And I think like they're doing incredible job. Of course, again, as a student, whoever you want to choose, you have to do your due diligence and making sure that you're being supported and helped. But at the end of the day, I think like the work that a lot of recruitment partners do is incredible. They support the student. Even if they don't do much, the fact that you have someone that's seen the journey a few times more can take a little bit of the stress away from you.
That's true. That's true. And I can probably say that I am the first top 50 recruitment partner of ApplyBoard. And my success today, where I am right now, having the six offices in Gujarat, having 70 plus employees, I think in initial year and still now, ApplyBoard supported me a lot. And I know in initial year, when I'm sending application for partners to form through ApplyBoard, I think Meti and his entire team was manually punching the application at that time, and I have seen the photo as well, and I seen him sitting next to me and giving me a podcast. This is going to be a fantastic, and for me, it's a dream come true. Thank you so much.
I actually tell you something funny though. This is 2017, 2017, or a lot of institutions when they were opening their portals, were opening portals in a local time zone. So when we were in Canada, we had to make sure that we wanted to make sure support our partners and the students of ours. So many nights, me and my colleagues came to office at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. because by the time the portal was opening, it would have been 3 a.m. at Canada, and we were just punching application in and putting application through. Um, And some of best memories are those
Oh, those
memories.
memories. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so
I know that.
I've done anything you say. I've washed dishes in ApplyBoard. I've done anything you say. I still tell, like I said, the CEO's role is not chief executive officer; it's chief everything.
Everything officer. Yeah, that's a very good piece of advice for all the startup enthusiastic who are around the world. Okay. Now I heard one story about you that in initial time of Apply Board, you stayed in India for a long time,
Yeah,
like 30
5
days,
weeks.
five, yeah,
5 weeks.
5 weeks. You stayed there for 5 weeks, right? And I know lots of people are telling me that Meti was with running to each and every offices for asking the business. Is it true? And
This
like
is
you want to promote Apply Board,
so
like
the 2017. This is 2017. First time I went to India. I went to almost, I think, 16 cities. So 5 big 16 cities. Um, and we had very few students from India at that given point. And by all it means, it was 2.5 years in the business. Um, our work was different. I think the entire sector was very different. You might remember 7, 8 years back, no one wanted to use online portal.
yeah, no,
Everyone thought like you just best was like WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, yeah,
And we went with a new technology, new adoption. So we were looking there is something called early adopter. We were just looking for early adopter to satisfy them that why you should consider working with a full platform rather than just do everything off of email or WhatsApp. And I think if I'm not wrong, I perhaps done more than 250 meetup.
wow,
Like there was some days from 7:30 till 7:30 in hotel. I would have seen and I would meet maybe 12, 13 people in one day. And there were like tons of office visits that I did. And some of those partners are still ApplyBoard partners are some of the best partners that ApplyBoard had. So I'm actually happy that I did. And sometimes I miss it. It's the early days has so much joy
so
in
much
it
choice. Yeah,
because you're like it's so anyway. It's a very different
very
days,
different
yeah.
days. Yes, yes, because we still remember our first TRW in Chandigarh.
Oh my gosh.
It like 400 people were there, and I know
354.
Meti is like going to stage and just preparing, decorating everything. He's with his team, trying to set up the like stall, booth, everything. Like at that time, I was thinking like he's an entrepreneur, he's a founder because. As I my philosophy, founder or entrepreneur need to sit somewhere and just watch everything. But at that time, my perception changed a lot. Like we spent like 2 or 3 minutes with me, but I think it was a golden days for us. TRW1 was fantastic. I can say about it, and I think we did lots of fun during that time.
Yeah, it's been.
Yeah,
I've been blessed by superpowers in this work that I think like there's a lot of joys and happiness on being with your partners and supporting your students because at the end of the day when you wake up you know that you're impacting someone's life in a positive way. So,
right. Okay. Now I would like to ask you a few questions regarding the startup, right? And like I know you've been through India and you have seen lots of agents during recruitment partners during the time, right? Maybe you got a couple of rejections, or maybe lots of people don't want to talk to you. It might be possible, right?
yeah, it's just until today I hear no every day.
So how do you take
No is a starting of new opportunity. That's what I say.
That's a strong word.
Yeah. So
So what the message to the all new entrepreneur and the startup entrepreneur who would like to build something and they just got no in the first couple of months and they just want to think, let's shut off.
I think at the end of the day, as long as you're solving a problem and you believe on solving that problem and you're excited to solve that problem, just keep pushing. But that's really at the end of the day. Like I've seen some of the most powerful entrepreneurs, some of the most uh, companies that I respect or I admire, and the founders just start keep pushing. They just felt the pain. They were crazy about something, and they went on it, and they keep pushing. There is not a lot of things called success. Even in our sector, we went to pivot first day years of ApplyBoard, then we went to pandemic, then we came out of pandemic, we went to a different problem, and now we go to a different. I don't think I can have it. Maybe a 1 year out of 9 years that I said things were great.
Great, yeah.
Every year it's something new.
It's new, yeah. It's a different challenges, right? Okay, now you told just say about success. Like, what do you mean by success?
What do you describe as success?
For me, success is like, for me, helping people in a good faith. And whenever I'm going to bed at the night, I feel like I have done something good for my students. And when I wake up early in the morning, I feel like I'm ready to help more students. That's what I feel. So, personal satisfaction, I feel it's a success. Success for me, money is on the second part. That's what my philosophy. How about you?
I think success is definition that anyone has it in their own mind.
Yeah, what's your definition?
My definition, I just want to wake up and be there for my family first. Is always important. Two, it's just getting the mission of ApplyBoard to the reality. That to me is the number one and two thing that excites me. Some of my best days are the days that I work so hard, and as long as that I do this too, nothing else comes. I don't. I don't look seek for the power or the famous size of it or the money of it. Those are all. It's not even in my top five.
Oh, okay.
It's not.
That's the amazing lesson students or maybe a startup people need to learn, because I think startup is all about valuation game and become a famous, become a unicorn. How come your success
Because
story?
we never started to become any of those.
Right? You have started to solve the bigger problem.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, like people comes like, oh my gosh, like ApplyBoard, what are you guys gonna do? Things gonna be hard. I'm like, great. We grow. Best companies are the one that comes out of the hard time. Netflix was never online virtual
Online.
place. They were shipping DVDs.
DVDs, yes.
Right?
Yes,
Like
yes.
there's a tons of companies that started with X and did something else. It's just a hard time that actually makes a lot of companies true. And I think like when things are easy, it's very easy to start. I still till today I say, give me a Excel file with a $0. I can start a recruitment business and get to 1,000 enrollments within 2 years. It's not hard to do that. What is hard is just going beyond thinking of how am I going to solve this for 1 million students. And I have a number called Medium, and you may have seen it in some of the photos that I have, like the sign in my home. I want to wake up 1 year that says 1 million students have started the programs through our platform. And until that number is not hit, I think that's what excites me to wake up in the morning. Takes 10 years, 6 years, 20 years, those are just irrelevant to me.
Great, amazing. I think and also regarding the startup ecosystem, I would like to ask you one question, like how to thrive in market.
It depends on the businesses. As long as you know your business better than anyone else knows, that's the starting point. Just try everything. Like, not try distraction, don't get me wrong. Just do, like, found a way, knock every door. Knock every single door till one opens. Like, it's very hard to say how to thrive. As long as you're persistent, um, even if you fail and you learn something new. And as long as you learn something new, brilliant. You come out of it strong.
That's amazing. Okay. Now I'm just moving forward with the lots of questions regarding the Canada. Like you based in Canada, and currently we are sitting in the ApplyBoard headquarters in Canada. Currently, in last 1 year, we have seen huge thunderstorm in these industries. Now, lots of people are thinking that Canada is shutting the door for international students. Canada is changing policy. Can you tell me what it is and like how it is going to impact the entire international education system?
I'll give you actually a different perspective.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of political challenges that we have gone through, some for good reason.
Yes.
Uh, but I always ask myself, will Meti go through the process? What will Meti do as international student? Because I was international student. I actually tend to say, sit back for a second. Let's say you're sitting in India and you're thinking of, do I go to Canada or not? My actually, Meti of today would say yes. Actually, arguably, I would say yes today. Maybe I would have not said a year ago.
Yeah.
And I tell you why. 2000, let's say 15, fall intake, you come to Canada. Choose the right program, right institution. Put that on the side. I think at any given point you need to do. You most likely graduate if you do 3 years program. 2028 April, you get a 3 years postgraduate work permit as long as you chose the right program. You're graduating in 2030, your postgraduate work permit expires in 2031 or 2, depending on your program. Even if the immigration number grows by 5% in the last 7 years, the number is back. You don't want to rush somewhere when there is a gold rush. You want to go somewhere when a lot of people not looking at it.
Yes,
Right now, Canada is in that position. A lot of the students have far more option, and when you have far more option, it tend to be cheaper for you to choose. There is more scholarship. There is more bursaries available that was not available last year. So I actually think it is better time to study now than it was last year, because last year tuition fees were higher, cost of living was higher. You couldn't find the easiest place to live.
Right.
So now you think about it, it actually you get a better buck for your investment today than 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's a fantastic opportunity right now to come in Canada and study. I feel because, as you said, people are will graduate after 2 years or maybe 3 years without the opportunities available. Yeah, that's
Don't judge what we are going through today
yes.
for the next 6 years of it.
Okay.
That I think is the biggest and the most important. You never go to study one course and says, great, I'm successful, I'm coming back. It's a journey. Focus on your destination, but enjoy the journey. Don't be too obsessed with getting to your destination.
Right. Okay. Now, like as political, geopolitical things is going in Canada, there are lots of rules has already been changed, right? And you are running this film corporation. Like, how do you cope with that? And how you make sure that everything is going smoothly and like every piece is setting up everywhere.
Very good question. And I think like every day you get a new input, and based on the new input and new information, you make the best decision, and that become your output. And I think that's constantly need. Someone gives you new information, you validate it, and you say, what am I gonna do about it? And as I kind of said it, like I don't focus on next 2025, I don't focus on 2026, I don't focus on 2027. I think of a million of students needs to go through our ApplyBoard platform and start their journey. How do we get there?
Right. Okay.
So it's a little bit more. And maybe again, like I'm blessed and I appreciate the power of that. I never started our power for money. So like it's okay. Like at the end of the day, I'm blessed that I need what I need and I don't have a lot of needs in a sense. So I can just like adjust and go. And at the end of the day, this is not a sprint. A lot of people think a startup business, study abroad is a sprint. You go, you do 3 miles, who gets there faster? Life is marathon. You have to be prepared.
Yes. Any student is sitting in India right now, a middle class students, and the student and parents are thinking to come to Canada. What advice you can give to them, or it's like why they should select Canada for their education destination, according to your perspective?
I would not answer because I always tend to say it's not my job to advise other people. It's their job to find out the
Yes, but
information. But I will answer this question. If I was Meti, today I was looking to study abroad, why would I choose Canada? I would answer that. This is Meti
Yes. Okay. That's Meti perspective. Yes.
And again, if you really think about it, when you put the major destination on each side, Canada is one of the most affordable.
Yes.
We still have one of the best postgraduate work permits, which is aligned to the labor needs. As long as you're studying a program that you can find a good job and find a fast job because the labor is required, and it makes it even easier today because you don't have to second question yourself. There is a list that you can actually see where the labor shortage is going to be in the next few years. So we have a very good postgraduate work permit compared to other countries. And the last thing, many countries do recognize the value of immigrants, but not many countries are built by immigrants, and the mass majority of people are immigrants. Canada is. And I don't see waking up a day that Canada says we're going to take zero immigrants. So as long as there is a immigration number, I truly believe, as you see in the next few years, folks that have studied here, they're here will be valued more than folks that are outside. There's no guarantee to it. I don't want to say this, but when I compare Canada to other destinations, I think there is a clear path that you can see that compared to other destinations that is less clear and maybe likelihood of is less. But again, I just want to make sure at the end of the day, if I come here and study, let's say, Masters of Computer Science, I would choose my program, I choose my institution that if I didn't stay in Canada, I could go to Europe or I could go back to home and be successful.
Then you told about like right program, right university, Indian college. Can you give a two piece of advice on that, like how to select the right college and right university and right program?
Be passionate about what you want to study. I think that's the most important thing. And there are different criteria. Do you care about the rank of the institution? Do you care about affordability of the institution? Do you care about where the institution is located? It's really dependent on the student. For me, affordability was big thing. And then for me, it was I just wanted to study something that I care and I was passionate about.
And I have one question on that. Currently, you may be hiring lots of people, or maybe you have hired lots of people in ApplyBoard, right? Maybe a technology, maybe a business guy, maybe a finance guy, right? What skill are you looking in there? Because I just want to make sure that all the students who
I never can think of a single person that I have hired that I look at their education backgrounds. I always look at based on how they show up in interview, what were their experience at their work, how they can contribute to ApplyBoard based on their historical work experience always has trumped their education background. Frankly, I cannot even think of a single time we hired someone we validated their education background. And we have hired over 2,000 people. So.
Yes. And what one piece of advice you can give to the international students currently in Canada and looking for the better opportunity, jobs, what skill they have to improve in themselves?
I would say before improving their skills, improve your network. And don't improve your network within your community. Go beyond of your communities. We have always the tendency to stay with people that we may know, expand that. Network is like bigger, better, and more diverse, better. So that's, I think, is more important than just the skills. But I would say on the skills side, we're living in a very exciting world. Technologies are evolving so fast. You don't need to have a lot of the skills that you had 10 years ago. Like, let's take writing. You don't need writing skills anymore with ChatGPT.
That's true.
As long as you can articulate your
thoughts. Right. That means, what one piece of advice, only one word that you would like to say?
Network.
Network.
I would say network is way more important than the skills.
Wow, that's great advice for all the international students. This is a great advice. Like, I have seen lots of students are increasing their network in their community, but I feel like you have to go out of the community. You need to talk to lots of the community people and build a network to become a successful in Canada. This is the advice, or you can say about the experience advice I got from
You know what? One thing, and I don't know the exact figure of it. I think it was about 40% or 30%. So excuse me on the figure one. People found jobs are the jobs that were not advertised. So it's like I get to know you, and I'm like, oh, by the way, you're hiring someone. Yes, great. Let me send it. Or no, you get to know your company is hiring someone. Let me interview someone else. So that's why network is sometimes goes far further to land a good job than actually just going and apply. Everyone does.
And let's talk about the Canada right now. What do you think about the numbers? Like, is going up, is going down, and like for recruitment partners, I'm talking about because we are sitting in India and we are struggling a lot to right now. What piece of advice or what motivation you can give to recruitment partner like us, or maybe who is watching this video? Because we know we have a bigger problem to solve. You have a lots of problem because you are running a big organization. We have a problem because we have problem, but small problem because we are running small organizations.
Go back to why you started your company. If you started for money and all of a sudden you're not making money, then guess what? You have learned a lot of experience. Go start something else. You may make money there faster. If you started that I want to help a student,
Right.
remember 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you didn't number was secondary to you.
Yes, yes.
So as long as you want to help the students, there are other students that require support and help and continue focusing on that.
Okay. Now, can give me your thoughts on the current immigration rules for Canada, like how this impact education industries, specifically in India, and the three main pillars: trade, health, and STEM. Like, what do you mean by that, and what the Canada wants?
I wouldn't know the details of it, so I'm just gonna share overall perspective irrespective of Canada because I don't know the full immigration and
Yes.
stuff, so
Yeah.
I don't wanna be liable for what I'm going to say.
Not
But
at all. It's just like we are just discussing about the Canadian policy in the context of helping more students to understand better. There is nothing.
see, the easiest thing is to look at it. It is not necessarily a Canada thing. In a lot of developed countries, the needs and the job labor force is changing. When you're thinking of AI, let's think of AI, right? Like or ChatGPT. What are the first rules or jobs that the productivity is going to become so high that you arguably can say one person can do a job of three? And then what are the jobs that you could actually arguably say will be replaced by or wouldn't be as much productive in the next 10 to 15 years? When you think of engineers, when you're thinking of trades, when you're thinking of a lot of jobs, you can't simply like do it with the help of technology. Technology will make an improvement, but will not replace it. Or healthcare, right? Like when you show up to a hospital, you still need nurse to come check this. Maybe you would be able to say the decision making or analysis is part of it. Someone with the help of technology can do it faster. When you're thinking of parents or the elder generation, they still need personal support worker. When you're thinking of like, think of the role and the jobs that it does not going to be disruptive as much in the next 20 years because of technology. And a lot of countries like Canada and that's exactly what we're trying to do. Attract people to the job force that. And there's nothing wrong with overall programs like hospitality or business or such as there's nothing wrong with that. Like I don't think people should say this is better than that. But it's just when you look at the Canada needs, we're gonna need 900 people in our trades, 900,000 people in our trades by the end of 2032. 600,000 people will retire, and 300 net new thousand we need. So Canada has almost 1 million vacancy in the next 8 years in our trades. So how are we gonna go get that? We can't just bring people here. Trades here is very different than trades in India.
Yes.
So we need to bring people here that understand the education system, understand the society, and then try to keep them here.
Yes, I think the trade, STEM, and the healthcare is very popular in Canada in terms of job in maybe a couple of years, right? Also, like listening or maybe I am hearing from lots of people that Canada is about on aging, and yeah, and maybe they need lots of workforce.
So not just Canada, a lot of actually countries right now, developed country, you have a lot more people retiring every year than a lot of new workers. And for a lot of developed country like Canada, UK, US, you need to make sure your economy grows. Economy grows when you have the productivity of the country goes up or you have more workers in the country. So in Canada, we have a significant aging population. If actually you look at it, we take zero immigrants. Number of people dying every year and the number of newborn, it's only 20,000. So Canada's population will not grow, or I should say, it grows only by 20,000 people if there is no immigrant. And Canada lose a lot of people that leave Canada to USA or go back home. So that's why it's important to have balance.
That means there is lots of opportunity I can say about it. You guys just need to wait and have a patience, and everything turn out to be a good for sure. And I'm very much bullish on Canada nowadays, and I feel it's very positive. As you study, what is the benefit of study abroad?
I think for me, the best thing that I learned was things that I didn't learn in Iran, and I learned group works. I learned how to communicate with a different, diverse background. I learned how their culture works, and I think one thing and I'm so glad that I did from very first day. My friends and my group classmates were not from Iran.
Okay.
I made sure that anyone that I interacted was not people from my country.
Okay, that's a good advice for all the international students. Just you need to hang out with the not for your not within community. You have to go out and just explore the other community. That's what you are here in Canada.
That's what international
International means. Yes, that's true. Okay, now I would like to ask you top three advice for any person in the world who would like to start a startup.
Advice? Startup. Start a startup. It is always a start with a starting.
Okay,
So startup.
start.
If you have a problem and you've seen it and you know that you can solve it, it's startup.
So the top three advice or two advice you have?
Oh, three, sorry. I thought you said number one, just don't wait for someone. Just do it yourself. Number two, um, remember it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And um, number three, what would I say? It's just be persistent.
That's amazing advice for all the startup folks who are planning to start their own business. Now, as we know that the traditional countries for abroad education is US, Canada, UK, Australia. Like, what do you think? Which is going to be a new market for international students? And which country is more you can say about attracting the international talent apart from this traditional countries?
I think the student mobility as a whole will change significantly. A lot more countries gonna see the value of international students. They're gonna be a host, so you're gonna have far more destination. And when you actually look at it in early 2000, 1.6 million students were going abroad. In 2024, that was 6.4 million. So every decade almost it has been doubled. So when you're thinking of 2020, let's say 34, you're going to have about 10 to 12 million students that's going abroad. And there will be far more new destination. Europe is on rise. Some non-traditional English countries are on rise. I think as a whole will be very exciting.
Okay. And also, I have a question like, as currently most of the abroad education industry is going through the rough time, and whenever you are getting some criticism about ApplyBoard, when you are listening some criticism about your company, how do you take it?
You know the best thing someone told me? The more fruits you have on your trees, the more a stone it hits at you.
That's a great piece of advice. Or I think that's a great learning. I just got it right. Okay. Because currently, to be frank, I want to be become very open and I can ask him openly. Lots of people are telling me that whatever money you have in your ApplyBoard account, just take it out because they are going to bankrupt. I said it's not possible. So what are you going to tell to those people who are just spreading this nonsense in the market?
You know what is the best part of just the last 9 years? Every year there was something that ApplyBoard was something about it. So
Yes.
every single year. So
It's okay.
it's okay. It's let it be.
No, but when somebody is throwing a mud on you, like
I'll focus on what I do. So next year they have some new mud to throw at me.
wow, that's great. I think all the
Criticizing other people is very easy.
yeah, it's a very easy. Yeah,
I've criticized ApplyBoard enough and what we can do better, and that's enough. So if you can't say, hey, ApplyBoard, you can do better and it results helping your students, I'm all in. Tell me, because we need to be better. We need to be the best. We need to be the number one. We don't go for a marathon to be the fastest. We go to be win the goal. As long as we win the goal, that's all matter. And we have to be the fastest to win the goal. So being the best and providing the best is always our attitude. And as long as I see criticizations of people allow us to be there, be. Otherwise, like it's also easy for me to criticize every single person
yeah.
around me. What am I gonna gain out of it? Nothing.
Yeah, that's the I can say about whatever the startup knowledge I got, whatever I learned in the abroad education industries. I am very thankful to ApplyBoard and ApplyBoard leadership because uh, I don't know, like I used to criticize before, like in only by 2015, 2016, right? I thought like criticizing, talking about other, but the moment I met Meti and lots of ApplyBoard senior management, they taught me how to work, what to focus, and how you can run this marathon.
You know what I told you actually something funny. You said something. I'll give you some stat. We actually have the highest wallet share. We created something called e-wallet apply, so you can hold your money. We have a highest number of monies from our partners in their account that's still with that project ever.
Yes.
And at the end of it, because you can't, the core and identity of you would never change. We have been the most transparent. You know what? For example, I'll give you something for the folks that might not know. One thing that was very important: how long does it take for an application to be submitted? Right? Like it's a very thing that everyone thinks, and I actually should think it's a wrong question. But anyway, let's go with it. Until 5 years ago, you had no idea whether the application is submitted or not. We're telling you by minute, we're delayed or not. So sometimes your own successes are the criticizations that you get. So if you really think about it, until 3 years ago, no one, not three, 5, 6 years ago,
yes.
no one even had idea their application is submitted. We tell you by minute, we tell you by second when your application is in the scope. So actually, we're driving the quality of the market. We're making a new standard. Then we beat ourselves and we become the first, and then we go to the next one. So that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah, so I learned a lot of things from ApplyBoard. I can say about it because I learned to contribute to community, help students. Also, whenever I'm talking about the like your application process is not good and that and this, senior management team always tell me something which I don't know. We already know this problem and we are solving it. You rather than criticizing us, you need to come on platform and support us. And it just changed my mind. Like what kind of people are there because they are telling me to come on board and help other people.
You know what I always tell people is very easy in our life to complain. It's very easy to our life in our life to emphasize on the problem that exists. It's not very easy in our life to come with solution. If you really think about it, like you would most likely appreciate your employers that come says Darshan, this student had this. You're waiting to say what did you do about it, rather than. And I think the ecosystem of ApplyBoard and our partners are the same. You only can make us better, and the best part of it, you started this business to help others. If you help ApplyBoard be better, it helps thousands of other students indirectly. So it's not a lot of second. You by buying that iPad doesn't make the ecosystem stronger, but by helping our platform to be better, you're making the entire ecosystem better.
Yeah.
So you're actually maybe says you did 10 students as example, but if our platform did 100, your contribution wasn't that 10. You can take a pride that it helped 100 students ago
yes.
because you're part of that. And I don't think a lot of people recognize. That's why at the end of the day, I can name of 20 companies that have came in the past few years, and unfortunately they couldn't scale. And I can tell you another 10 companies that would be. And it's just at the end of the day, as long as we as our platform focus on supporting our partners, focusing on our mission, I would say we will remain on the track. Things goes up and down, but at the end, destination remains the same.
Great. And now I would like to talk to you about the UK. Like UK is a growing market as we see, but I think data is showing something else. Like, what's your thought on
I was actually in UK 2 weeks ago. I think UK is a tremendous opportunity. Same thing that I said in Canada. As a whole, if I was a student, I think going abroad next 12 to 18 months, you get a better investment, you get a better return on investment than any time before. And UK is exactly the same. You can get a much more affordable institution fee because the institution are providing a very incredible number of extensive scholarship and bursaries, and you get far better processing now. 2 years ago, you couldn't even get the acceptance letter from UK institution because it was just so hard, and institutions were overloaded by a number of applications. Now you actually get your acceptance letter. So there is a blessing in a lot of these changes if you think about it.
it? And also, like, I have a question. Like, abroad education is all about helping people, helping students, creating the life of students, and making money. Because I've seen that it's more toward going toward the making money rather than helping the students.
For me, it's helping a student. I don't know what other people. I cannot speak for other people, but always when there is something growing, people think if they do it, they can grow it. At the end of the day, good people is gonna last. Great company is gonna last. People that they thought is an easy run, quick, this will have a more hard time in future.
I have a question. Like, you were a good student in school.
Always the top.
Always top.
Always the top.
Right. And which school you studied?
That's a longer school, a longer story to it. But I went to community college in City, Constitute College.
Conestoga College. Right. Okay. And which course you have done?
Business marketing.
Business marketing. Wow. That's amazing. Now, okay. I just like we are at the end of the podcast and all the discussion. I know he has to go, and like if anyone from any countries, any students is planning to go abroad, what will be your top three choice? Miss your top three choice. If you are in maybe sitting in India right now, and if you are thinking about going abroad, and what top three countries student can look for?
I think before that, you should ask yourself what are the top 5 things I want to achieve? What is by order? What is important for
Right.
me?
Yes.
Quality of education, affordability, location, close to home. There's so many things that matters. You should first settle on those. It is. I give you an example. Let's say if I'm from India and I want to be close to home, UK is a better option than Canada.
Right. Dubai is also growing.
Dubai is maybe a better option than Canada, right? If you want a quality of education, most countries have a similar quality of education. Some better, some it's all great. If you want affordability, then there are many destinations that has. So I think it's really at the end of that. Maybe you say I don't want a guaranteed immigration pathway, but I don't mind to have a higher likely of immigration pathway. And you could argue Canada and Australia and then US and then UK. Canada still have a lot of pathway for me. If you're a good talent, you're good at skills, you most likely can stay in Canada as long as you process uh, the right approach. Right again, there is no guarantee anywhere. I don't want to say. I think before choosing the first three top destination for a student, they need to choose what's more important.
I think that's a very good piece of advice because before selecting the country, these are the parameters you need to follow. First is the quality education. Second is affordability. Third is location. What will be the fourth and fifth?
I think it's different, right? Like it could
It,
be,
it, it's for,
it could,
it's
it could
different
be,
for
for example, for you could say, I want to have a family member in that country. That could be one. You could say postgraduate work permit right is important for me.
right.
It could be very much.
Yeah,
I
it's
actually
different,
think it's a lot of people try to bucket it. If you don't bucket, ask yourself, Darshan, you're going abroad. What is more important for you? Just ask yourself, write it down. It's the same as like if you go to shopping, you want to buy this, you make a decision. Or if you're going to buy a car, you shouldn't compare it. But then you look at it, you say, I want a sunroof. Maybe another person don't care about sunroof. But you may say, no, I have two kids, I'm gonna get a minivan.
Yes.
Your needs and my needs are totally different.
Yeah.
Don't focus on others'
Other
needs.
needs, yes.
Focus on your needs.
Yeah. So I think these are the good parameters because I came when I decided to when I decided to study in USA at that time I was not sure like what are the factors I need to consider. I was just thinking about how I can go and how I can explore. But today these are the bucket or these are the points you need to take in your mind when you are planning for your deputy education journey, and it's a fantastic right now. Okay, now I have one more question. Like, what do you mean by student mobility? Because that's a word is buzzing right now all the time. What do you mean by student mobility?
To me, a student's mobility is from a students go from anywhere to anywhere. That's a student's mobility.
That's the student mobility.
For me, it's like as long as you go from point A to point B.
It's for the study purpose or for travel or anything.
Anything. Who would say 20 years from now you maybe want to go abroad for 4 months?
Yeah, that's possible. And how big is the student mobility market?
Could be in a total time could be millions and millions of students.
And currently, which country is growing in the form of international students? Like, which country is?
I think vast majority of the countries are. This year is a bad year to kind of look at it, and the reason I'm saying is a bad. One thing that not a lot of people noticed: 2020 and 2021, borders were shut
Shut
down.
down. Yes.
What will happen if you put a dam on a river?
Yes. The
Water,
storage.
water is stored.
Yeah, water storage. Yeah.
And what will happen when you open the dam? Water flood. What will happen after the flood is over?
It's going to be very cool. It's going down.
So that's what it is. So now we're comparing, it says, holy moly, like number of the students going abroad came down. It didn't come down. It actually is still higher than 2019.
Yes, that's true. I agree with you. Yes.
So it's just India 2019 to the four English countries were about 170,000 going abroad. This year is going to be 240,000. So it's still 50, 60,000 more students going abroad from India 2024 than 2019, with the difference that we think last year 440,000 went abroad. So no, it's really, when you do average from 2019
Yes,
to
yes.
2024,
Yes.
the average is a CAGR of 7% growth.
Actually, it's growing. Yeah, I know that because I like this to be, and I think it's the right way to tell to all the recruitment partners. No need to worry about it. There is one thing is going in India right now. Everybody is talking about that the education system is going to reform entirely after 10 years. because people don't want to like to go college, don't want to like to go to study, and just want to focus on online. And everybody's talking about Gen Z. Like, what do you think about it? Like,
I would say if I was going to choose my education, it would have been primary based on experience, not education. I think experience is going to be far more valuable. And frankly, you're asking the wrong person because I much prefer to sit with you do this podcast than sitting in Zoom. So from me, I think there's incredible number value, significant gain of the interaction in face to face than anything. Not saying that online education is not gonna grow, it's most likely will, but I think a student's gonna choose experience always more. You know why one out of four unicorn billion-dollar company in North America wasn't started by international students? Because they're more resilient. They're
yes,
hard worker.
yes.
Do you think that could happen if you are sitting at your no? You will still gain that experience, but the fact that you put the entire your life in two suitcases and you went, learn how to cook, learn how to do everything on your own, you become a very strong person.
Yeah. Also, I have a one question for the startup people. Like, why startup fails?
Every 95% of startup fails. There is no good reason for why it failed.
Like,
You could run out of cash, you could run out of ideas.
what mistake they are doing is what mistake maybe in your experience also.
I made every day I make a new mistake and I learn from it.
But you made a unicorn out of it, but lots of
But that doesn't mean they didn't make mistakes.
no, everyone making mistake. Every day is a new mistake. Yes.
Yeah.
We are learning from it.
Yeah.
Right. So what
I think people again go back to that. I've seen a lot of people think it's an overnight success. Took Nvidia, I believe, 29 years or so to be $1 trillion company. It took them 3 years to become the most valuable company in the world.
also I would like to ask you about your company culture because I have seen the ApplyBoard company culture is fantastic. It's fabulous. And your ApplyBoard people are working in this company. And they love the company. Like how you build this culture.
Um, I care incredibly about people. I genuinely, from bottom of my heart, try. I think as a company, you always have to be selfish. Um, you have to be always selfless and think of growth of people inside, outside, and also think of your employee as your customer. How are you going to put that impact in their life? I think early days we did an incredible good job making sure people understand what value are we driving and why we started. Like you might, some people look at me or you look at me says this guy is not being genuine about money or not. It's your perspective. But this is who I am. Like I am the same person that I am. So I think a lot of people will come together to solve a problem and that destination is the same for everyone. One person is not here to say I'll make a quick buck, or one person is here for the title. As long as you try to get everyone to focus on solving the similar problem, which is our power mission, then you have that incredible people around it and around that problem solving. And I think that's what we have done. We incredibly focus on solving a power problem, which is like how do we help every student have the opportunity that we got. So that has resulted that and frankly I think like we've been lucky to have some of the most incredible people in our sector and as long as we continue caring about them and focus on our problem I believe a lot of our problems will come and go.
That's true. Okay, and the last question I have, lots of people don't know, but ApplyBoard is doing lots of voluntary work, also lots of charity work, and maybe they are providing lots of scholarships to the needy students. I can say about it. Yeah, it's another. You can say it's a. If you flip the coin, this is another side of the ApplyBoard because lots of the time people don't know that what the unicorn is doing. They always thinking about them making the money, but I think unicorn is more toward impact and helping more people, uplifting the more people and the talent from entire world. So I just want I just want you to share what you are doing with.
And we're doing a lot of things around when it comes around the student mobility. When you think of some of our partner institutions, we have put in at least over $100 million worth of scholarship back in the student's pocket by working with institution and making sure the tuition fees are more affordable. Take it from we done providing to students in the early of their education that need help and many other things. Frankly, I think like the most important thing, as long as we can help the students' mobility goals, think of 20 years from now. How many other amazing Darshans or Meti will graduate from North American or a different destination and go back home, contribute? You have contributed to your hometown significantly. I think that's what is the best things that people don't talk. You went in US, you came back, you contributed US to your hometown, and you can argue, say, 50 of you made your hometown better city than it was 10 years ago. So I think that's the most important thing. If I fast track it 20 years from now, the impact we're gonna have in the global is gonna be beautiful and wonderful.
Right. And also, you can also share about the school you are. I think there is one school you have adopted.
I know. No, we're not gonna talk about philanthropy and stuff like this, but stay tuned. There are some stuff that we're making announcement hopefully
Okay.
middle of next year. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah, but I think you have done lots of charity.
little bit. I wouldn't say a lot.
Okay. That would be great. Okay. Yeah, I think, guys, in this podcast, I think I have learned a lot. Rather than I can see I have asked question, but I have asked question which anyone in India recruitment partner having in their minds, and I think it's also for the student side. Like as a founder, the advice I just co-founder advice I got from Meti is amazing and fabulous. Also for the parents, how international students mobility market is working, what are the things you need to take care, and how you can make an impact to the different people lives. I think this is a amazing podcast, students, parents, and also the startup founders, because you are going to learn a lot from this particular podcast, and I'm damn sure you will learn it. And if you learn it, just comment ApplyBoard into chat box, and maybe whatever problem you have regarding the educations and whatever question you have regarding educations, maybe I will get back to you. Maybe ApplyBoard will get back to you as well. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.